Vem lär sig mest av IKT i skolan? Är det eleverna eller är det lärarna? Och vad ska den svenska skolan fokusera på? Det ska vi prata om nu med Anne Bamford, Director, International Research Agency. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
So, how would you describe the situation for the Swedish schools right now?
Well, it's quite a complicated question to answer because if you look at it in terms of some of the international rankings, such as the PISA ranking, Swedish schools are not doing that well internationally.
Yeah, we know. Yeah.
If you look at it in terms of particularly equality of schools in Sweden, they're not doing very well. And equality, I mean, there is the difference between the best performing school in Sweden and the worst performing school in Sweden. So while you have some schools that perform very well, you've also got some schools that perform very badly. And there's a growing gap between the best schools and the worst schools and the achievement of some children and other children. But to put it in a perspective, for example, the 10% of the bottom in Shanghai is better than the 10% in the top in Sweden. So if you look at it in that type of international comparison, they're not doing very, very well. But then, of course, you could make the argument, is that the right sort of test? Is that actually what we need for the future? And perhaps Swedish schools are ahead of the game and are already preparing children for a different type of future.
So what do you think?
I think that the sorts of things that we've been traditionally testing are becoming less important. And there are other skills, other qualities that we need in our young people going forward. For example, UNESCO has looked at possible future learning qualities, things like leadership, collaboration, problem solving, critical thinking, certainly technological literacies or digital literacies. But these things may be more important than our traditional subject bounds that we test. And of course, the PISA testing doesn't really look at any of those new literacies.
Yeah. So when you talk about leadership, how do you develop leadership among kids?
Well, we know that children who are successful in later life show early leadership qualities while they're still in school. And so it's really how you promote those right from very young ages. And we're trying to look at those promoted in a way that's also an ethical way to promote leadership. So leadership doesn't mean bossing around the other children. Leadership is often about how they can lead compassion, how they can lead respect within the school, how they can get other people convinced to do things that are positive things for those other young people to do. So leadership development really starts from very early on. If you watch a group of children in the kindergarten, it's quite easy to see which children are already showing some leadership attributes.
So how can teachers improve and enhance the quality?
The quality of the teacher themselves is very, very important. So for a teacher to be able to be effective with children, they need to be themselves passionate about their subject. They need to be well trained. They need to have an interest. And what we've seen in recent years in a number of countries, not just in Sweden, is that the quality of teacher education has slipped in some situations. It's not as good as it used to be. But also that there is less autonomy given to teachers. Whereas we know that actually the more autonomy you give to teachers in the classroom, the greater the achievement of the children. So we've become more controlling of teachers, but it hasn't actually led to teachers flourishing. And I think there's a loss of confidence amongst teachers. Some teachers feel, whatever I do, it's not right. And so that actually undermines their approaches to teaching and their confidence. And if you think about teachers who you know who are really wonderful teachers when you were at school, they were often maybe a little bit eccentric. They had certainly their own way of doing things. And I think a lot of that's been lost in contemporary education.
Yeah. And is that specifically in Sweden?
No, I think that's across the board. And I think you see where that hasn't been lost, where teachers are held in high regard, where they're allowed a lot of autonomy, they're actually performing a lot better. So some of the countries where we have high quality achievement in education, you also have high levels of autonomy, not external scrutiny of the teaching force.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, my pleasure. Thank you.